Listen, whatever Cynicalex says, I'm number one. Dormammu is number one forever.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to try and rank all 7 of the 1600 CCF native tier 2s. Now, I was originally making this video planning to rank all of the native tier 2s when I realized that it's a little bit unfair and it's a little bit awkward because some native tier 2s cost 1200 CCF, some of them cost 1600 CCF, and then some of them can get to tier 3 and some of them can't, yada yada yada. So I decided to make this list a little bit more compact. I decided to make this list a little bit more focused on just the 7, not the 7 from the boys, but the 7 who are native tier 2 and can get to tier 3 and cost 1600 CCF. So just to remind you, those characters include Dormammu, Odin, and Silver Surfer, who were reworked recently. And then we have Big Boy Thanos, along with Jean Grey, Scarlet Witch, and Apocalypse. And I think that's it. Yes, 7 characters. So those 7 characters are who we are going to be ranking today. But to make it more interesting, because there is a conversation to be had here about it, I will be ranking them twice. Once at tier 2 and once at tier 3, because of course the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate investment that you can make for a native tier 2 1600 CCF character is hitting that advancement button and taking them to tier 3. 1600 CCF is by far the most difficult thing to farm for most players at any point in time in the game. You know, not necessarily for every character, for every player, but for most players in the game. So I want to do that, and I want to identify the differences between the value at tier 2 and tier 3. Now, keep in mind, some of the characters have additional costs associated with them. I'm not going to be focusing too much on those additional costs. They all have uniforms, except for... no, they all have uniforms. They all have uniforms, and then on top of that, Odin and Dormammu require you to pay whatever 1750 crystals just to unlock them at 1 star. It gets discounted to 1250 crystals on Black Friday and whenever they got their reworks, which is gone now, but it was discounted at the time. And then Scarlet Witch requires you to unlock, I think, just Quicksilver or Quicksilver. Yeah, I think just Quicksilver. And then you have to do some challenges before you can play her world boss and unlock her. And then, of course, Jean Grey requires you... Oh, Apocalypse requires you to have Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Cable before you can play him, I believe. And then Jean Grey requires you to have those other characters tier 2 and to finish the Doctor Strange epic quest. So there are different, you got to play GBR for Silver Surfer. There are different additional requirements. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I want to talk about the gameplay, and I want to talk about what makes these characters valuable, where you can use them in the game, and why you would invest in them at either tier 2 or tier 3. They're still very expensive at tier 2. Keep that in mind. But then the tier 2 to tier 3 is really the second leg of the larger mountain that you have to climb. So I'm going to throw up the list here now for the ranking at tier 2. I want to talk about all of these characters at the same time. We'll go from 1 to 7 or 7 to 1 or whatever. But I don't want to do like a coming in at number 7. We're just going to talk about it all at once. So why is Odin number 1 at tier 2? Basically, he's really good at tier 2, and we discovered that several content creators, gave him a rage, threw rage on him, but he was absolutely incredible. He was able to out DPS tier 3 characters at tier 2 just based on the quality of his rework. They really overtuned him at tier 2. He's incredible at tier 2. He can do Galactus GBR, he can do ABX, he can do World Boss. He's just very good. He can kill some metas once in a while in PvP. He's very good at tier 2, and it just basically comes down to his kit. His kit has self buffs, it has incapacitation, it has all defense down, it has ignore dodge, it has accumulation, healing. There's just way too many good things on his main kit. However, the reason why Odin is number 1 is because he unlocks Beta Ray Bill's final potential, which is his awakening skill. So you absolutely need Odin tier 2 level 60 in order to awaken and transcend Beta Ray Bill, in order to unlock his Might of Uru skill. So with Odin, you're basically getting 1.5 characters, because you're getting Odin as a character and you're able to then get the last half of Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is very good at tier 2 without his Might of Uru skill, but we all know what happens to Big Bad Bill when he gets Might of Uru. He turns into an absolute wrecking machine. And so you have to evaluate that, because unlike the cost of Odin, that's value of Odin, right? You know that getting Odin to tier 2 and getting his uniform is going to give you him, but then whenever you decide to finish the epic quest and get Beta Ray Bill, you know that you'll have that unlock waiting for you, because Star-Lord you'll already have, and then Thor is very easy to get, so it's just Odin really is the roadblock for Beta Ray Bill. So in that sense, Odin is number 1, on top of just being just as good, if not better than the rest of these characters at tier 2. Dormammu's number 2. He's basically, the way that I feel about Dormammu is he's a little bit worse for PvE and he's better for PvP. So he's like he's like Odin. Dormammu is like Odin, except they took maybe 20% of his PvE value and they shifted it over to PvP. Gone are the crazy self buffs. I mean, he still has a really good self buff, but he doesn't have the accumulation self buff anymore, and he doesn't have some of the other buffs and passives that Odin has, where he gives himself, immunity to cancel and stuff like that. So he doesn't have that. But in place of that, he's got iframe ignore, reflect, and revive. Very, very, very good tier 2 character. Again, able to hang with tier 3s. Silver Surfer comes in at number 3 at tier 2 because he's just very, very good. You got to get his uniform, but he's just very, very good. And then Jean Grey, Apocalypse, Scarlet Witch, Thanos. Basically, Jean Grey is only number 4 on the list at tier 2 because she can kill tier 3s in PvP. That's really all it comes down to. If you don't like PvP, Jean Grey drops to the bottom of the list. Thanos is at the bottom of the list because he's just really bad at tier 2. Thanos has basically the Doctor Strange syndrome, where at tier 2, Thanos is very unimpressive. He doesn't have enough stats to kill you or to survive, and he doesn't have enough damage. He just doesn't. But once he gets that tier 3 bump, he becomes a big threat, and because he's so chunky and he's such a thick boy, then you have the threat looming of Endless Void, and he can also do ABX and stuff like that. But at tier 2, Thanos is just way too expensive of an investment. I think the only reason you should invest in Thanos, in my opinion, at this point in the game, the only reason why you should invest in Thanos, Scarlet Witch, or Jean Grey is if you're going to go all the way to tier 3. If you're not going to go all the way to tier 3 and get their newest uniform or whatever, I don't know if they're worth it at all in this current state of the game. I ignored Apocalypse, even though he's between Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey, because Apocalypse is actually really good at tier 2. Some people might not remember, but he was able to do like stage 80 or 90 of Ebony at tier 2 without a rage. I think he had a judgment or something like that. So he is actually a little bit better than that. However, he just doesn't have much value outside of World Boss at tier 2. He really needs the tier 3 to then obtain value in ABX, GBR, PvP. So it's really that jump for him. It's just he's much better at tier 2 than Thanos and other characters that I listed there. So that's the list for tier 2. Now we want to talk about the list for tier 3. So this is now assuming that you have taken all of these characters to tier 3 and you're going to build them out, max their build, whatever, for PvP, for PvE. But this is the native tier 2 1600 CCF characters at tier 3. So I'm going to throw up the list here and then we're going to talk about it. I had a really hard time ranking the top 3, but if you notice, the top 3 at tier 2 are the top 3 at tier 3. They're still the best. No surprises there. Recent reworks tend to beat out older characters. Thanos last got a rework 2019 when he got his endgame uniform. So Thanos finds himself near the bottom of the list for both lists, right? However, Silver Surfer, Odin, and Dormammu were reworked within the last 4 or 5 months. So they're going to be at the top, at the cream of the crop. And it's no coincidence why that is. So yeah, you could really say, honestly, Odin is better than Silver Surfer. You could even argue that Dormammu is better. You could argue Dormammu, Odin, Silver Surfer for the top 3. I lean towards Silver Surfer for top 3 as number 1 because he is by far the scariest character for PvP, especially if he's built for PvP. He is the scariest character in the game for PvP. He's the number 1. And then 2, he is the only one that I've seen consistently able to get kills about 50-60% of the time with a PvE build in PvP. Dormammu can do it a little bit, but he's a little bit less consistent than Silver Surfer. And then Odin, I don't think, can do it very often. He's probably even less consistent than Silver Surfer, maybe less consistent than Dormammu. I didn't investigate it too much, but he just wasn't very good at tier 2 He had killing power, but he just has much less defense, right? He doesn't have revive like Silver Surfer and Odin, so you don't get a second try to get the kill at tier 2, and then of course at tier 2 you just get really low HP. But yeah, at tier 3 they're absolute gods. So you really can't go wrong with any 3 of them. They're all really good if you build them for PvP, ABX, World Boss, GBR, you know, Danger Room Extreme. There's no wrong answer here with these three legends. There's really no wrong answer here. I just leaned a little bit towards Silver Surfer and then Dormammu and Odin. After that, it's kind of tough. I mean, again, it depends on whether you're leaning towards PvP or PvE. However, they keep putting Jean Grey in the story mode content, so I give her a little bit of an edge for that because you get her for the story mode content. She's still the second best character for PvP, so she, you know, takes that crown there. And then she can still be useful in PvE. And actually, there are whispers. Shout out to Luke Margui and other star creators. I think Diego Casca. Shout out to my Brazilian star creators. That the next month's Frost Beast has paralysis, and Jean Grey can actually do quite a bit better there because she has paralysis with her new uniform on the new 4th skill, Psionic Wave. It's got that paralysis there, so pretty interesting. Her value for PvE has taken a nosedive, but you know, it really depends. Again, you could put Apocalypse at 4th and you could put Jean Grey at 5th. Apocalypse is a bit underrated still for PvE content. Very, very good. I made the video recently, ABX, DRX, but still very good for World Boss. Much better than Jean Grey. Good for probably a little bit worse, but still good for GBR. And then has some PvP value definitely if you build him for that. And then rounding out the list, Thanos and Scarlet Witch. Thanos, his value is almost entirely in either PvP or ABX. It's really just one of those 2 game modes. That's it. And he's not even that good anymore, or he's not even that good. He's not, sorry, I shouldn't say good. He's not even the best anymore for things like Alliance Tournament. He's been kind of pushed aside by Hulk a little bit because Hulk is just a tankier version of him, so he just stays alive longer than Thanos does. Thanos still has some unique qualities to him, but he's just not an absolute lock for every single team in Alliance Tournament, and that would probably also extend to Alliance Conquest. I'm not sure though. And then unfortunately Scarlet Witch takes the bottom spot. Scarlet Witch, yeah, she's not very good for PvP. She's like the weakest character on this list for PvP, and that usually comes down to her survivability. And then for PvE, she's good. She can lock down enemies with her mind control, but she just doesn't do enough damage, right? And so in a time in the game where damage is king and people are doing one shots, it really doesn't matter as much that you can lock the boss down and grind him out for 5 minutes. Why would I spend 5 minutes or 4 minutes or even 3 minutes? Like, why would I spend 3 minutes doing stage 90 of Ebony with Scarlet Witch, right? Mind control, do your other skills. Mind control, do your other skills. Why would you bother doing that when you can just load up Beta Ray Bill and you can just kill stage 90 in 5 seconds? Right? It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, her value as a striker is also evaporated completely. So she has lost that, and so she's not bad. She's not a bad character at all. But in the age of one shots, she doesn't seem as spicy as she once was. But she's still a solid character for the game, and she'll always have, you know, she'll always be a dark horse for things like PvP and stuff like that because of the reflect and all that. She just needs, I think, more defense or more ways to protect herself, like a large guard hit, like a Captain Marvel or something like that, because this is just not enough here. I think it's a 5 guard hit. It's not enough. But yeah, so that's the list there. Those are the 2 lists. Let me know if you want to see an expanded list to include all of the native tier 2s like Wolverine, Gladiator, Doctor Strange, etc. But I just wanted to focus on the 1600 CCF, ultra wide, ultra thick, ultra expensive, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks so much for watching. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up with your comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.